Hi, this is a recording of my live session. I only removed pauses and removed noise. Other than that, this video is unedited. So let's start with the first difference in the way you use any software versus Copilot. Most of the software we have been using, whether Microsoft or non-Microsoft, has menus and options. Hundreds, thousands of options. If I want to do something, I know which menu to go to, which button to click on. So I click here, it'll create a pivot table. I know that. If I click here, it'll make it bold. So it's repeatable, predictable, and we know exactly what happens when you click on something. Now that paradigm is completely changed with generative AI. Now what happens? By the way, I want you to focus on the content. So I'm going to switch off the video now, and then maybe during Q&A, I'll enable it. So you can go full screen and look at the demos in more detail. So look at what happened with Copilot. These features are still there. They are not we are not obviating the need. Copilot is not competing with the products. It's complementing it. But the problem is, from a pure Copilot point of view, we just get a text box. So the questions we have in mind is, okay, I have asked something to Copilot, and then it's going to give me a response. Now, what is Copilot capable of? That I need to know first. Because if I don't know that, I'm going to ask few random questions. Some of them work, some of them don't. And then I have a partial output and value from it. If I don't know what it is capable of, I am not going to ask it. So that's problem number one. I'll tell you how to solve it. How do you solve it? Well, there are multiple ways of doing that. One of the ways to do that is to go to Copilot Lab. So I'm sure many of you have already got some kind of Copilot licenses, and Microsoft has created a large library of prompts. Those are called Copilot Prompt Library. So if you go to copilot.cloud.microsoft or simply search for Copilot Lab, you should get it. Don't do it now. You can do it later. While I'm showing, don't do this any practice because it's a fast-paced session. Now, when you go here, Copilot Lab, prompts to try, one common mistake is people don't end up logging in. If you don't log in, this list is shorter. So make sure you are logged in using M365. Now, it's a very long list, and I strongly suggest you go through that long list. By default, it will show you few rows, few columns, but click on Show More, and it goes on and on and on. Last time I counted, there were some 400 plus items. But don't randomly go and look at them. First, log in. Then second, open the app section. Now, this is a very important drop down which tells you, oh, I was using Copilot only in chat and Teams, but it's available in so many places. So that's the first place where your value from Copilot suddenly expands. Because you may be using these tools but not notice that there is Copilot. So on day one, Copilot wasn't there in all these tools. So that's the incremental value of Copilot. It is getting added in products all the time. And what it can do within each product is also expanding. So look at the products which are of priority interest to you. Go there. For example, I'm going to Outlook. And then open the second drop down. That tells you what are the categories of work Copilot can do. Now, I won't suggest you go one by one. You just go through all of them. But remember, these icons also indicate this is edit, and each icon has a meaning. This is ask, and so on. Bottom line, go through all the prompts and look at them. You don't have to try them on day one. But if you think one of which is relevant to you and you have not tried it before, do not try it immediately. Bookmark it, finish all the bookmarking, then whenever you get time, go through that list and do it. That's how you're going to expand your value proposition of Copilot in your individual context. The third thing to notice is another approach is to go by this. It's industry and type of role. This was not there earlier. Now, not only is this list there, it's expanding. So typically, this list is not static. It keeps on getting added to. You can't add your prompts right now here, but Microsoft has global visibility of how people are using it. They find generic useful prompts and they add it up here. Of course, if you want to create a prompt library within your organization, which is a very good idea because those will be customized to your business. Create a list in Office 365 and encourage people to put their prompts, and maybe you can gamify it as well. So that's how you know what Copilot is capable of. The second question is another one. How can Copilot help me in my particular context? Sales, marketing, finance. Of course, great question. And I have noticed that most customers who even have Copilot have not gone to this website. You go to adoption.microsoft.com and then you will find a Copilot scenario library. Now this is a very powerful tool. If you scroll down, it has given you different horizontals, and under each, I'll show you some examples. It has given detailed walkthroughs of use cases and scenarios. So let's say sales as one of the examples, and I'm going to say create unsolicited proposal. Now what does it do? It goes through this and it tells you how to use it, and it gives you a PPT as well. And then these are the steps. These are the same steps that will show you in PPT. Right now it's just showing you as a step-by-step process. So it's telling you to identify leads, you'll have to do Copilot, but leads come from database. Now if you want some kind of database integration, you'll have to use Copilot Studio. Now if you have a lot of data, Copilot has access to your data. So use this to do company search. Company search means data across the company which is accessible to you. Remember, Copilot cannot access anything which you don't have access to. So next, gather product information, assuming you have some intranet site which has that. Then you generate a proposal. In this case, they have said create a proposal in PowerPoint. It need not be, it can be in Word as well. And then if you have Copilot for sales and all, there is integration. Otherwise, you can just do a call with customer and be ready for the meeting. And finally, you can also use Outlook for drafting it. So this is a functional walkthrough. Yeah. If there is any feedback, put it on chat. Are there any questions coming? I just request all the people in the audience to just say hi or something. I want to know you're able to ask questions. Shesham, are you able to see questions?
Doc, as of now, I don't see any questions. So no questions as of now in the chat, in the Q&A window.
Yeah. Okay. Shesham, can you see the Q&A window?
Yes, I'm able to see.
All right. So these are the two places which every user should go look at them, and I'm sure you will find many relevant, immediately usable and value-adding use cases. The next thing people are worried about when it comes to Copilot is, will Copilot understand my subject? Now, your subject means whatever your domain, your expertise, your area of interest. Now remember, Copilot means what? It means ChatGPT 4.0 as of now. What does that mean? Whatever is publicly available knowledge, it understands. Understand means it has ingested it and it is capable of answering questions based on that repository of vast amount of information. So do not have that doubt in mind whether Copilot understands your subject. It does. Unless proved otherwise, unless the knowledge which your knowledge area is behind a paywall or behind a login where normal web crawlers don't have access to it, ChatGPT understands it. Now there is another couple of worries, so let me clarify them before we go ahead. Many people are worried about what happens when I put my data there, because people are worried about data being used for AI training, data being used for giving ads, and all kinds of worries. So remember, when you put data in Copilot, many people think I will not buy Copilot. I'll just go to free version of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, XYZ, ABC, and I'll ask questions and they'll give me the answer. That's correct. Just to give you a comparison here, I have Perplexity open, I have ChatGPT open, I have Copilot open, I have Gemini open. Now I can put anything here and ask questions. But then that data which is being put, right? That data which is being added to Copilot versus same data going to these guys, what is the difference? Very, very important thing to understand. So when you put data in Copilot, even though it uses ChatGPT behind the scenes, that data does not go to OpenAI's version of ChatGPT. Why? Because when you use Copilot, M365 Copilot I'm talking about, or even the free version of Copilot, Microsoft has a private, secure version of that ChatGPT in their data center. And that is how whatever your prompt is, it's first cleaned up, it's checked against responsible AI, and then it is sent to Microsoft's copy of OpenAI. It doesn't go to OpenAI as a company, it doesn't go to OpenAI data center. And because it is in Microsoft data center, it follows all your security, privacy, and compliance guidelines. So whatever prompts you are putting in Copilot, whether private, personal version, means free version, or paid version, it is not going to OpenAI. It is not going to be used for LLM training, and it will not be used for targeting you for ads or anything else. That's the safety. Nothing else will give you that. And M365 Copilot not only gives you the response, it directly talks to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. So let me give you an example, and then you'll understand the difference. One of the simplest and most important things you should do, by the way, nothing to do with Copilot, is start using this search. This search is very, very powerful. In one stroke, it looks at all the sites, all people, all messages, means emails and chats and meetings and videos and Power BI. There is no other way to search across all these locations in one click. Anyway, so I have this document somewhere and I want the PDF version of that document. So I go to File Type and choose PDF. You see how fast the responses are? So this is what I have. Microsoft 365 Top 10 SOPs. This is a PDF file. So I'm going to open this PDF file and whatever the output is, I'm going to want to create a PPT on top of it. So let me go and look at it. By the way, PDFs open in Edge browser nowadays with a lot of features. So these are the top 10 SOPs. But I don't want to create a PDF. I want to create a PPT. Now, while I'm saying all this, think in your mind, could I have done this in Perplexity, Gemini, ChatGPT itself, or XYZ, Claude, whatever you like. So now I'm going to PowerPoint itself. I'm going to go to PowerPoint Copilot, not Designer, Copilot. And in PowerPoint Copilot, I'm going to refer to that file. / is how you refer to a file. Only recently used files come there. And I'm going to say top 10. It will give me some recent files. And from the recent file, I can open the PDF file and ask it to create. Now, sometimes it fails me, but never mind. It will create a PPT based on this. So what is the idea? This PPT is going to actually get generated in PowerPoint. Now what happens? In this PowerPoint, I just did that few minutes back. So this is what it created. This is the PPT created from what data I had. In fact, it has even taken a screenshot of the PDF itself, and it is showing me it as an example of converting Word to PowerPoint. Some images it picked up automatically, and all this happened. All this happened out of the box. So there is integration with Office, and obviously nobody else can give that because you need to have the source code of Office to implement this. So if you think you're going to save time by going to some other AI which can be textually similar output, you're going to waste time copy-pasting and writing VBA to convert that. That is the real value. So Copilot is simplifying everything you do so that you get more time, so that you can invest that time in value-adding activities rather than mundane and repetitive activities. That's the positioning. All right, going ahead, let's see some common examples. Because we have limited time, I'm going to show you few demos, but I have pre-recorded demos and I'll show you the screenshots before, after, and then we'll discuss the value. So M365 chat is a very powerful thing. Let me show you where it is. Probably you already know it. When you go to Office 365 homepage, you will see this 9 dots or M365 Home as we call it. And here itself you will see Copilot. This is the Copilot chat. This has access to all your data, chats, meetings, and so on. One common mistake people do is they put a prompt here. That prompt requires access to some files, but it also requires web search. And for example, right now, if I ask what is the USD to INR rate, it's going to say, I don't know. Why? Because here, web content we have not included. So make sure, depending on your query, decide whether Copilot will require to search web in addition to looking at your files. So that's one common mistake. Second, / is a way to refer to files. Clicking on this is also a way to refer to files and mails and meetings. And this is, so 3 ways of referring to files. Also, this prompt limit has increased to 16,000 now. So this is the place to go to when we want to do something which is going to work on a large corpus of data. All mails, all chats, all meetings, all files. Even if those files are Word, Excel, PowerPoint, even if it is mails, because I'm looking at a large collection of mails, you go to chat, not Outlook. Outlook you go to when you're talking about a particular mail or you're drafting a mail. Then of course the output has to go in Outlook. So you have to understand which Copilot edition to use, which Copilot UI to use, depending on what you are asking it to do. That's a common mistake. Now, let's look at some examples of M365 chat. Summarization is a very simple thing. It is capable of summarizing complex documents. For example, there is a 130-page PDF. I asked it to summarize and I specifically said, give me 10 key insights. It does give me. By the way, this is a bad prompt. You have not read the document. Don't limit it to 10. You say, give me key insights. If you limit it to number, if there were 15 key insights, it is forced to not give you 5. So that's a bad idea. So that's how, as you start learning, you understand how to communicate better with it. Summarize chats, emails, meetings. I'm sure you are doing that, so I'm not going to show that. But let me give you a different prompt. Analyze my meetings, emails last month. That's obviously something you do already. And tell me categories of the kind of work I do. And also calculate percentage. Most people would not put this prompt. So it gives me this. It understood the context. It looked at all the content, classified it, created the categories, counted something, and it's giving me the percentage. And even though I did not ask for it in the prompt, it's also giving me areas for optimizing things. So that is how Copilot can help us in every way which even we can't imagine. So expanding imagination, expanding your expectations is the correct way to use Copilot. Now, prepare for meetings is another one. So this was the bootcamp which we were doing. I said this similar one I did on July 30. I said, what is my next meeting? And that happened to be the bootcamp. Now it's giving me calendar and everything. Now it's saying, I asked it to give me some data for preparing for the meeting. So it's giving me various things. It looked at some PPTs I have created in the past. It also found the meetings and it's giving me suggestions. Now each of these suggestions comes with a number there, a citation or reference, hyperlink. So you click on it, it is going to open the mail which tells me what was the registration count. And then all this I can use. This saved me a lot of search. It saved me a lot of sifting around to figure out what to do to prepare. And then what happens? Now I'll work on it. So I gave a prompt. It gave me a beautiful answer. I used it. Finished. No, not finished. So there's another common lacuna or mistake people are doing. Yes, technically the job is done, but it is figured out additional things you may want to ask. So please look at them. You don't have to click on them. But this is contextual prompts it generated out of the box so that maybe you would have thought of it later, but this guy has already thought of it before. So at least eyeball them and if relevant, click on them. So these prompted prompts come not just in chat, but in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, everywhere. Please have the habit of looking at them, at least eyeballing them. Now it's giving me more and more data about that. I'm going to skip that. Now this is another one. Number of files you can refer to in each product differs. Maximum capability is in chat, where you can refer to up to 5 files. So I have a JD and I have multiple people. So I'm saying use that JD as the basis and compare these resumes, / choose the resume. And then like that I give 4. Why? Because chat has capability or capacity of 5 file references in one go. And now I'm asking it to create a comparison table. Great. All good. Now it's going to actually create that for me. Now you will say the JD was Word. All the resumes were in Word. Why am I doing this in chat? Because in Word, the chat limit, or the file reference limit is what? 3. Whereas in chat it is 5. So you need to understand the strengths and constraints of each tool and use the right one in the right place. So just to give you an idea of how these things work, there is a busy slide, but I still want to show you to explain the fact that each product has its capabilities, and being aware of it will help you utilize the products properly. So this number which I'm showing here is the capability in terms of number of file references. All right, now OneDrive is very powerful, and recently OneDrive got an infusion of Copilot. This is something I have not shown before. So I'm going to go to an HR example, the exact same example I showed you. There's the folder in which there is a JD and there are multiple resumes. So look at what I'm doing. I'm going to the folder. I'm selecting these things. These are resumes. Now there is a Copilot button here and I'm saying ask a question. Yes, I could have directly asked you to compare and summarize, but I want to ask a specific question. And in this case, I have randomly selected 5 files. I have given a very generic prompt saying who is the most suitable candidate. I have not said which document is the JD, which one is the resume, and I said tabulate them and give me something. You see what it has done? It has actually created this, and it is also telling me this is the suitable candidate. This is unbelievably useful. Try it out. This kind of capability is available right within OneDrive. Because why? In chat, you would have to manually go / search for that file. Here, files are right in front of you. So although technically it is the same demo, from a functional point of view, it is a completely different ball game. So Shesham, are there any comments, any questions I should take?
We do have a few questions.
Yeah, go ahead. So there is nothing to really implement. You purchase the licenses, assign the licenses, and once Copilot comes in, it needs to do some indexing. That takes some time, couple of weeks. Officially it is 4 weeks, but usually it is less than that. But once the Copilot is enabled, direct file references and whatever I'm showing you will get enabled immediately. There's nothing to really install or implement in true sense of the word.
Next one, I'm unable to access copilot.cloud.microsoft. It says coming soon. Do we need any special access to get into it?
No, you don't need any special access. You're talking about Copilot Lab, I am assuming. So I'm just going to give you the link and I'll put it in chat. You can put it in Shesham later on. You can put it in the Q&A if you like. Next.
When we enable web content, will our prompts be visible to LLM models?
I may explain that already. Of course, if LLM has to answer, it has to look at your prompt. But it will not go to OpenAI as an organization. It will remain in the private, secure copy in Microsoft Data Center, following all your security guidelines.
The next one, when enabling web access on Copilot chat, when internal files are also referred, is the data safe since it is not within the Microsoft boundary?
So that's what I'm saying is there are 2 versions of Copilot. One is the Copilot which I'm showing you. That's the work version of Copilot. So if you just go to copilot.microsoft.com and you have the paid version of Copilot and you have logged in using corporate ID, you will see 2 tabs here, web and work. Work means the M365 Copilot, which has full access to your files and data. Web is the public version of Copilot, which does not have access to your data. So you can use both. But the important thing is to log in using Office 365 or Azure AD or Entra email ID. If you do that and you use the public version of web, you will see a green button here. If you see this green button, what does that mean? That means there is enterprise data protection. What does that mean? Whatever data you put here is completely safe. It will not be used for any training, any ads, any tracking of what. In fact, when you are in the web version, when you close the browser, your chats are deleted. So it's very safe. The same thing cannot be said if you directly go to ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, or any other AI. Next.
The next one, how do we ensure the accuracy of the output generated from PDF or from any input data?
Yeah, so any LLM is prone to hallucinations, and the primary way to reduce hallucination is to give it data. If you don't give data, it'll imagine. If you give it data, it'll think within the boundary of the data you have given. So as you have seen, I asked it, look at my last month's email. That's data. So now it's not going to imagine an email which came to me. That's called grounding technically. So as long as you give enough context, hallucinations are almost not a problem in M365 Copilot. But if you ask it a creative questions, then of course you're asking for hallucination in that sense. With data, no hallucinations. Next.
One, how long does it take for the initial indexing after subscribing to Copilot for M365? Can the progress be checked?
Depends on volume of data, but typically 2 weeks. Earlier there was an indicator for this, but to my knowledge that has been removed. But ballpark 2 weeks.
Next one, how does M365 Copilot ensure data privacy and security when interacting with sensitive information across apps like Outlook, Excel, and Teams?
So when you talk about sensitivity and all that, you're talking about, let's say, sensitivity labels, encryption, DLP, and stuff like that. So now, if I open a file as a user, those policies are going to apply to me. Now, if I ask Copilot to look at that file, exactly the same policies and principles are going to be applied to Copilot. So Copilot, as though is your human assistant, what would that person do? Same things will happen to Copilot. So same policies. For Copilot per se, you do not have to go to your sensitivity labels and say, create this for Copilot sensitivity. No. Whatever a user level thing you're doing, same thing is religiously followed by Copilot.
Okay, the next one, can Copilot identify an outlier data point in an Excel file? Example, the salary of an employee has been given as 6 lakhs instead of 60,000.
Yeah, absolutely. It can identify outliers, but the Excel Copilot is still in beta. So if you are a power user and you ask it to do various things, currently it may not be capable of doing it, but it is evolving and it is in beta for a reason. So there is one aspect of Excel analytics which is commonly not known to people, and that leads to a lot of expectation mismatch or frustration. For example, I'll give you the answer to that. This is the balance sheet. Now, if you select this data, go to Excel Copilot and say, analyze this balance sheet and tell me the health of the company, it's not going to tell you. Why? For various reasons. Currently, it requires tabular data. Tabular data means column and consistent data in the column. Column, rows and columns. This is not rows and columns. Although technically it is rows and columns, there is a balance sheet. There is a hierarchy here. There is a subtotal here. There are empty cells here. That is unstructured kind of data from an LLM analytics point of view. Any LLM will get confused in the Excel spreadsheet context. Does it mean we can't analyze it? No. Just select the data, copy paste it in Word and ask it to do it. That is possible because eventually when you want interpretation, you want a descriptive thing, right? So this will give you amazing results. So now it is generating that, and just to show you that what happens, there's the actual file which it generated. Let me open that file and show you. This is the file it created. It said I'm going to look at different ratios. It looked at the different ratios. It calculated the ratios. It created a table. It's explaining what a ratio means before, calculates the ratio, interprets the ratios in the context of the company, and it is giving me the conclusion. So all this is possible. So if something is not happening in Excel Copilot, try to do it here. But very soon Excel Copilot will go into production, hopefully. Next.
Yes, if I use O365 license and purchase Copilot separately, can O365 as well sync with Copilot?
Yeah. Copilot license, I don't sell anything, by the way. I'm not from Microsoft. I don't sell any software. But Copilot is an add-on license anyway. So you buy Office 365, license, buy a Copilot license, assign it to people, and then magically Copilot buttons will appear for those people.
The next one, as an M365 admin, does it have access to Copilot usage in any organization, prompts, etc.?
The compliance team will have access to Copilot prompts because sort of it is a part of corporate communication. And whether you want to keep the prompts history or not, that's a policy decision to be taken by IT, security, compliance, risk, and legal team.
Okay. The next one, how does Copilot integrate with custom workflows in Microsoft Power Automate?
Okay, because you asked the question, I can actually show it to you. Power Automate has Copilot built in. So if you go to Power Automate, of course, the standard create option, templates, all of them are there. But right now I'm asking it a natural language question. I'm going to get mails, responses to RFP. RFP ID is this. So if you get a mail, if I get a mail like this with attachments, detach those attachments and put it in a OneDrive folder. Now I'm asking it to generate. It will generate, understand what can be the applications involved. So it understood correctly that two entities, Outlook and OneDrive, are involved. Trigger obviously is in the email, and actions will happen in OneDrive. Now, because there could be more than one attachments, it has also put a loop, and we have given certain conditions like mail should have attachment, RFP ID, and all that. So when you ask it to create a flow, it has created the trigger, it has created the actions. So if you see the conditions, look at it. It has correctly put condition as subject RFP and as attachment. And then I did not mention which folder in OneDrive, so that part it has left empty. Now you can manually fill it up. And this flow should run as it is. Next.
We have 3 more questions. Should we take them at the end?
Yeah, sure. So coming back, let's look at Copilot in some other areas as well. One of the Copilot areas which is very useful but commonly not used is surveys. So Forms has Copilot built into it now. So if you go to Forms and create a new form, which is what we do there, creating a survey is just adding questions and choosing the question type. So technically it is easy, but creating a proper survey is an art and a science. Everyone may not be aware of what is the phraseology to be used, which type of question to use when. So that area can be improved by going to new form, and there is Copilot here. So I'm going to create a new survey I'm asking it to create a survey for Copilot usage itself. I'm not giving any details. Ideally, you should give more details in the prompt. While it is doing it, we'll also see what we should do in prompting. There is a lot of hype about prompt engineering and all that. It's nothing much, actually speaking. As I told you, Copilot has a knowledge of all the subject areas in the world, but it has no knowledge of what you have in mind. So how do you give that knowledge to Copilot? That is called prompt engineering. So in very simple terms, you tell all relevant details. It may be a genius on the other side, but if it doesn't know the context, it's still going to give you incomplete or suboptimal answers. And then, even if you give all the background data information, if you don't clarify expectations, then again it is going to falter. Expectations could be in terms of the size of the output, the format of the output, and the intended target audience for the output, the level of the target audience of the output. All of that comes under expectations. And then, very important mistake everyone who is using Copilot is doing, actually 2 mistakes. I will show you the form, don't worry. First mistake is you don't assume that when you give all the prompt, Copilot will simply give you results. After looking at your prompt, Copilot may have some questions because you have not given a good prompt, or maybe there was something missing in the prompt. So now what do? Copilot is not designed, or any Gen AI by default is designed to be your assistant. So default behavior is not you ask something and then Copilot asks something else. It's not a chatbot in the true sense of the word. So If you give it a prompt, it tries to take a best guess and gives you the answer. But unless you explicitly give it permission, it will not ask you missing questions. So in the prompt, you should ask Copilot to ask if some additional information is needed. That should be the part of every prompt, I would say. So that will allow Copilot to ask you missing things. And then obviously it's a conversation now and you will get better results. And the other thing people are worried about, I did mention on it, but let me just complete it because I'm not going to get time later. Does Copilot understand my subject? I have told you it does. You don't worry about that. But that's only partial satisfaction of this question. The biggest underutilization of Copilot is if you have Copilot and you're HR, you will use it for HR or finance or marketing or XYZ. That is not the primary use of Copilot. If it is in your domain, you will use it. That's a no-brainer. That's not fully utilizing Copilot. Why? Because if you are in finance, for example, and you are a manufacturing company, you don't know engineering, but your company is based on engineering. Some finance things will be related to engineering or HR or sales or marketing. Of course, you have people for that. But if you are thinking in terms of finance question, which has impact on those other areas, you have to wait for those colleagues to give you inputs. Now that colleague is Copilot. So you can ask Copilot related questions about areas which you are not good at and expand your horizon. That is the biggest benefit of Copilot. So what do? You ask and utilize Copilot to expand your horizon beyond your area of expertise. And that is the real value. So now coming to and most people have not thought on those lines, try it out. So look at what it does. It created how many? 10 questions. Typically it does 10. And now it has created a nice survey. It decided that this is single choice. This has to be a rating. This has to be a Likert. And this has to be multi-select. This has to be free. And the questions that it is asking are also relevant. You need not go with the answer. You can keep modifying it and so on. By the way, while we are at it, if you are doing surveys often, especially during meetings, hybrid, generally we go to collect responses, change this setting and then download the QR or show it. And while you are showing the QR code, people are supposed to fill. Now, if it is a live event, you would like to show the results as well. Now, to show the results, I have to go to responses and then show the results. Now, at this point, someone says, show me the QR code. Now, you have to come back here and show QR code. I hope you have noticed that there is a present option here. So I can continue to show QR code and continue to show live results in one screen. This has nothing to do with Copilot. But what I'm saying is, it's not only Copilot which is evolving. All products are evolving all the time. And it is in our interest to notice them and utilize them. So the last segment which I'm going to show you is Copilot in the context of meetings. Because meetings are absolutely inefficient. Why? Because we block the time in calendar, we conduct the meeting in Teams or whatever tool you use. But that's only part of the meeting. The agenda negotiation, pre-read material, collaterals, minutes of meeting, all this is also part of the meeting management. But all this junk comes to us in a separate dumping ground called inbox. And these mails have nothing to do with the meeting. There is no link. This is how the entire world is managing meetings for decades. So now it's a time to change. And this change is going to come because Teams, not Copilot, I'm saying Teams first, is capable of managing the entire life cycle before, during, and after. And in addition to that, if you use Copilot, it's even further better. So, bottom line, transform your meetings by making sure everyone uses Teams for the entire life cycle. How do you do that? Let me actually demonstrate. I'm going to go to Teams. Usually we create meetings in Outlook calendar. Fine, do that. But you immediately after that, you go to Teams meeting calendar, Teams calendar. Now in Teams calendar, what happens? This is a meeting I created. Why did I come to Team calendar? Because below you have a loop component where you can put agenda. Don't put the agenda in Outlook. Or maybe you want to put it in Outlook, copy paste that agenda bullets here. Why? Because now when I've invited people to this meeting, those people can edit that agenda even before the meeting. So agenda negotiation now is not going to generate a single mail. These are loop components, means anyone who has access to them can co-author, means edit those together or simultaneously or at non-necessary at different points in time. So that's the idea. Okay. Now, when you join this meeting and when you join the meeting, you can see the agenda. You can also take notes which are visible to everyone and everyone can edit those notes. So there's another user attending the meeting. This person also can edit the agenda and everything is collaborative. The third benefit of this is action items are also a part of this. So our action items are part of this. You add the action items here and today is 10th September. Now you can assign it to one or more people right from here. I'm going to give it to assistant and I can also give a due date. All this is an integral part of the meeting, which is brilliant. You can put at the mention as well. So now what is happening? No single mail is going for everything. Now while in the meeting, Copilot is available. What is the benefit of that? I can say what has happened so far. And now it is going to go for the entire transcript. And yes, transcript needs to be enabled for this to happen. And then it's going to look at what has been discussed so far and recap it. Is recap the only thing? No. It can do many different things. So look at the prompts. And again, this is not the exhaustive list. So look at what it has done. Key topics it has covered. And now what is this? It is actually going to go to the transcript. I click on this. Let me go to here too. It will show me the area of transcript where this comes. So this is during the meeting. Now people who joined late can benefit from this. As an organizer, I can see, are there any questions unresolved before I end the meeting? So each person in the meeting can have a private conversation with Copilot and participate more effectively in the meeting. So the amount of time taken is same, but the impact of the meeting is much, much better. Now, when the meeting finishes, well, before the meeting finishes, let me show you a couple of other things. There is whiteboard as well, and whiteboard has Copilot in it. I hope you use whiteboard. I am noticing that most customers don't end up using whiteboard despite it being a part of Teams. So please use whiteboard in your next meeting. How do you know when to use whiteboard? Go to templates and there are 70 plus templates given. Just look at the names of the templates. Look at the one which you have not ever noticed. Click on the preview button and it will tell you the use case and how to use it. Do that 70 times. Your knowledge will expand. And when you go into a whiteboarding session, whiteboarding essentially requires everyone in the meeting to participate. Sometimes you are asking for ideas. People don't give you ideas. Then what do? So let's say, so you can ask Copilot to at least give you a boost by starting some ideas. And then it will suggest you can iterate. And now because this is a whiteboard, it will not just give you a bulleted list. It will give you a sticky note grid. And then you can say, okay, now I want everyone to participate. You can decide when people can and cannot participate. And then now everyone can vote on it. Now this is not possible in any other way than whiteboarding, and it is an integral part and it has Copilot on it. So everywhere you go, Copilot is adding value. Now this meeting is finished. What happens after the meeting? Well, after the meeting, you will get a recap. After some time, because there is summarization happening, you will get a recap. And in that recap, you will get some amazing stuff. You go to the meeting chat, all the post-meeting collaboration should happen in chat. No mail is going to go to anybody. View recap. First of all, it gives you a beautiful chart. For each person, there is a stacked bar chart. And wherever there is color coding, that means at that point the person spoke. So maybe you missed the meeting and it was a very important meeting and you wanted to know what did the boss say. So go to the boss's name and go to the end. That is exactly what the boss said. So this is a very useful way to recap. Whether you attended or not doesn't matter. Then The formal minutes of meeting will automatically get generated after some time after the meeting ends, which is great. And if you did not attend the meeting at all and you want to figure out what happened, come here and proactively ask questions to Copilot. So you can say what happened in the meeting, what are the action items and so on, what was the purpose of the meeting and was it delivered, any kind of question you can ask. So people during and after the meeting, people who attended or did not attend the meeting, everyone benefits. So this is Copilot. And while we are at it, if you want to improve the way you present, there is another feature available. For example, here I asked, create a table of main topics and approximate time spent on it. It gave me that also. Another AI feature is speaker coach. So when you enable or you join a meeting, you say enable speaker coach. And then it'll analyze the way you speak. After the meeting, automatically you'll get a report. This report is visible only to you and it'll tell you, I spoke some repetitive words, filler words. It even gives me synonyms so that you don't repeat the word. Filler words and pace, too fast, too slow, or monotonous voice, and so many other things. So that's another use of AI. So bottom line, everywhere you go, Copilot is going to help you. And the idea to implement this across the organization is this. What do? You have proactively to go to understand the capabilities from both the areas I have told you. Every day, keep at least 10 minutes to experiment with it so that you can understand and expand your horizon. When you learn something, of course, you're going to apply it. But when you apply it, don't just leave it to yourself. So you are an HR person, you found something useful, you used it, great. But there are 100 other people in HR. They may have the same use case and they may not have tried that use case. So you should absolutely try to expand the horizon, understand this use case, is it applicable to more than me? Then you should have a central repository of suggested SOPs. And then someone should look at it periodically, typically every 15 days, and then identify all the ideas which are worth implementing as global best practices across the organization or department. That's how one person's effort is going to get amplified across the organization. And you don't have to feel that my effort, everyone benefited. Everyone is going to do similar effort and you're also going to benefit. The best way to encourage people to do that is to continuously gamify this process. So every month, top 5 SOPs generated will get a prize, recognition. So it's a healthy competition of learning and applying. So that's the way you use Copilot. And just to quantify the benefits, I have a simple calculator. After you do everything, for example, we said summarize documents. Think, how much time will I save every time I do it? 15 minutes. But there are additional non-tangible benefits. We need to account for that also. So time equivalent of 10 minutes. How many users are going to get benefited? You give a number. Right now I put 1. How often am I going to do summarization in a month? 5 times. So now just do a multiplication, do a sum. Now you can get a per user time benefit and non-time intangible benefit. And then you can do a cost benefit analysis. So that's the way to quantify value. So with that, I just want to show you one slide because many people will have the question. When you see that green mark while doing Copilot, you'll see commercial data protection. What does that mean? It means this. And then there is another common question about if Copilot generated something, say an image or some marketing text or a tagline or a brand name, and then there is a litigation about that. Who is responsible? So that is called Copilot commitment. Copilot copyright commitment. What does that mean? As a Copilot customer, if there is litigation on Copilot generated data, then whatever litigation and cost, Microsoft will bear it. So you are indemnified by Microsoft. Okay, questions?
Okay. Is it possible to fine-tune or customize the underlying AI models for Copilot to better align with specific business context or industry-specific language?
That is called creating a custom LLM. Creating a custom LLM is absolutely possible, but that is not the job of M365 Copilot. You have to go to Azure OpenAI, provide your data and build your own models. And once that is done, you can create apps on it and even integrate it with M365 Copilot. M365 Copilot is going to use the Microsoft OpenAI LLM.
The next one, does Microsoft 365 Copilot expose any APIs for developers to extend its functionality?
So you go to Copilot Studio and there you can extend its functionality. If you want full capability, full customized model, you go to Azure OpenAI Studio. So depending on the level of integration you want, there are different types of API. One is just to use Copilot, available. You want to integrate your LOP data into Copilot, you use Graph API. You want to build your own LLM, you use Azure OpenAI. So different flavors and different levels of flexibility.
How does Copilot handle different user roles, permissions, and access control?
I've already answered that. As a user, whatever I have access to, Copilot has access to.
What are the security and compliance measures in place to ensure data privacy when using AI-powered tools like M365 Copilot?
So many people, for M365 Copilot itself, as I said, it follows your existing policies. So nothing new to be done. As a user, whatever I have access to, it is going to follow. So whatever policies, procedures, you think of roles and users and implement. DLP, sensitivity levels, information protection, device management, you have already done that. So same thing is followed. The only thing is, when it comes to external Copilot usage, many people are doing the mistake of blocking external Copilot access to people. And that's a bad idea. So if I go to Copilot and there is a copilot.microsoft.com, the public version, because every user may not have M365 Copilot license. So they're going to use the free version. Now, because GenAI is blocked, they can't use it. That's a bad idea. What you tell people is, yes, you can use the external version of Copilot, provided you log in using corporate ID. That gives you external data protection, plus at least the free version of Copilot. It doesn't have internal data access, but at least Copilot functionality, image generation, image analysis. So that is how you enable GenAI using public version of Copilot in a secure way and encourage it rather than block it. Next.
How does my M365 Copilot handle large-scale data analysis with Excel?
As I told you, the exact limits are not published, but I have tried it from whatever I have heard, not officially. 500,000 cells is the limit. That may change because it's in beta. Cells that you can figure out how many rows and columns, but that is likely to change.
How does Copilot handle follow-up prompts and context retention when switching between different documents and datasets?
So in M365 Copilot chat, which is the work chat, it does keep a history of your past chats. So if you want to continue the context, you go to previous chat and open that chat and then continue the conversation. In this public version, which is data protection, does not store chats for security reasons. So once you close the browser, context is gone. Next.
What strategies can be used to refine prompts in M365 Copilot to minimize ambiguity and ensure more precise results in complex workflows?
Yeah, I have already covered that, but I'll just show you another variation of the same prompt engineering thing. So the goal should be clear, the context should be clear, sources should be clear, expectations should be clear. And one more, which I said, ask Copilot, if I have missed something, then ask me. These 5 should lead you to better prompts. Next.
Where can one access his own Copilot usage history, whether used on logged in Bing search engine or a Copilot M365 app itself? Basically, apart from bookmarking, how can one revisit his or her own last prompts?
M365 chat I already showed you as a history. Just go there. Individual products, if you go to this, there is a chat history button as well, but they are document specific. So each product has implemented history in a different way. Next.
Are there any Copilot related certifications one can appear for?
Yes, absolutely. Go to Microsoft Learn, search for Copilot. There are a lot of learning paths, excellent self-paced guides with sample files and everything.
I want my team to see this webinar as some could not join in. Is it possible to get a recording?
Yes, as I have told you, officially it is not allowed, but I am doing a private recording. Private in the sense, without any user IDs, without any company names, with no personally identifiable information. I'll edit that, and by today evening, I'll put it on my YouTube channel.
There's a request. We are still unable to log in onto Copilot via the shared link. Could you please reshare the link?
Yeah, so the simplest way I can tell you is just go to a browser and search for Copilot Lab. That's it, Copilot Lab. It is possible that if you are trying it from corporate network, some things may have been blocked. Copilot Lab prompts to try. This is a publicly available website. Next.
Is there any Microsoft forum which timely publishes Copilot roadmap and its development and future plans?
Absolutely. There's not just for Copilot, for every Microsoft product. Again, search for roadmap, search for Microsoft roadmap. Make sure you're going to the Microsoft site. And there you have it. Everything, every product is listed here. So because you asked, I'm going to search for Copilot. But literally every product is listed here. Then I'm going to search for Copilot. So notice across all Microsoft products, there are 1,600 current updates. 141 are being launched, being rolled out globally. So now when I say Copilot, 85 have been launched recently, 35 are in the process, 93 new features are coming. And you can, this is again publicly available information. Next.
What is the real difference between Azure and Microsoft Copilot?
Azure is the platform on which Copilot works. Copilot is an application running on Azure. So is every other Microsoft product except what we'd install on desktop. Next.
Yes, we have covered all the questions.
Excellent. So thank you all for joining. Thanks for inviting me. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.